All right, welcome back to Niners Nightly on the Sports Leader. And with us on the UMA guest line to chop it up and break it down and talk a little Niners Jags is Matt Barrows from The Athletic. What's up, Matt? How are you?
I'm good, Larry. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Always great to wrap with you. And, man, this 49er team, it's never dull. There's always something going on. The Bosa thing was just such a kick to the gut. I thought the most compelling quote from earlier in the week was from Christian McCaffrey, who's just said, "Hey, there's an urgency in this room now." I listened to him intently. He's not a guy who says a lot of stuff just for no effect or for effect, I should say. What was your takeaway? What do you think the impact of losing Bosa? Not necessarily football wise, because that we can get into as well. But as far as just like the impact on the feeling that the rest of the guys in the room have about trying to accomplish their goal, which is to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's a gut punch because he's one of the best defensive ends in the league, but he's also become part of the fabric of that locker room. I mean, he's a team captain. He's the oldest, longest tenured member of that defensive line, and I think we're going to be talking a lot over the next month or whatever it is, month and a half, about whether they can trade for somebody at defensive end, which they seem to do just about every year. And that would be one of the arguments for that, for like a Bradley Chubb or a Trey Hendrickson. It's that, it's a really young group in there right now. And you would be replacing Nick Bosa's veteran leadership. Now, Kyle Shanahan did say that Bosa plans to be around this season. He's going to have the surgery probably in a week or so, but once that is taken care of, um, that aspect of what he does, being in the locker room, being in the meeting room, being a sounding board to a Michael Williams, to a Alfred Collins, etc. He'll still be able to do that. So I think that that's good. It's probably good for him psychologically. I mean, I remember after that, what was it, a core injury at Ohio State? He sort of
Right.
left the team and lived with his brother and was sort of kind of away from it all. Probably better to be around the guys as much as you can. So that's probably going to be what happens. It might not happen until the beginning of October.
Do we have any indication of how the Niners will play without Bosa based on how they played without Bosa after he left this game against Arizona?
Yes. One big thing or a significant thing was that Yetur Gross Matos, who was a defensive tackle in the first 2 weeks, was a defensive end, mostly against the Cardinals. I think he played only one snap at defensive tackle. So that's probably going to happen. Michael Williams, more defensive end probably than defensive tackle as well. It was hard to tell with him because he was out of the game too for a little while he was getting that wrist checked out. Turned out to be okay. He it seems to be practicing in full this week, so I don't think that's going to impact him against the Jaguars on Sunday. And that's what they'll do initially. One other thing is that they put Robert Beal Jr. on the 53-man roster, and people are right now are saying, "Well, he's no replacement for Bosa." Beal's barely done anything as a pass rusher, and that's absolutely true. But they do like him on special teams because he's so fast. Kickoff coverage, kick return, things like that. Um, and they will put him on special teams for this game, and that's going to free Sam O up for I don't know, 12 snaps a game or more that he's been playing on special teams that he won't have to play from now on. So the idea is that he's got more in reserve. He can play more snaps on defense because now they don't have Nick Bosa.
Yeah, I had a couple Niner fans who, were sending me notes this afternoon. Oh, I can't believe they took Robert Beal over Travis Gibson. And all I said was, "Hey, look, pump the brakes. You only have only three times off the practice squad onto the active roster moves per player, right? So it's not like you can play every single week with the same guys. You're gonna call Beal up for 3 weeks, and maybe you're gonna call Gibson up for 3 weeks. Were you surprised that they picked Beal over Gibson? Gibson's got a 7 or 7.5 sack season in his past, where Beal is really a scout's dream, right? 6'4", 260, 4.48 speed, but he just never has matched that production to those traits.
Yeah, no, I wasn't surprised because of what I just explained. Like, this is a special teams move. This
Right.
is about Sam O, really. Now, if Sam O had to miss a couple of games, or if Bryce Huff had to miss a couple of games, I think that's when you see Gibson come up, because he is a better pass rusher than Robert Beal. But neither Robert Beal nor Gibson would get a lot of snaps on defense the way things are now. I mean, the 49ers lost their best defensive end, but they had 5 defensive ends on the 53-man roster. Most teams only play with 4 that have a 4-3 like the 49ers do. So they still have a lot of bodies at that position. And those 4 are Michael Williams, Yetur Gross-Matos, Bryce Huff, and Sam Okuanu. I just think that the changes will be more snaps for Sam Okuanu and more defensive end snaps for the 2 big guys, Williams and Gross-Matos.
If the Niners are looking outside for a defensive end, are they more concerned about the draft capital or the dollars? And I mention this because there's a story out that the Niners have agreed to sell another minority stake to another Bay Area investor, Peter Brigger Jr. of Fortress Investment Group, in that same valuation of 8.5 to 8.6 billion for the team. And it says that the addition would generate roughly $272 million. Obviously, it's an injection of working capital that can be utilized to run the team in the present. What's your read on their financial situation? Are they more concerned about every penny, or are they more concerned about every pick?
Yes. I mean, I think probably different parts of the organization, you get a different answer, but I would think that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch are definitely more concerned with the picks part of things. And if you got Trey Hendrickson, I mean, I can only imagine that they would be asking for a first round pick. So that's a big deal, especially when you've decided this offseason that you're going to go youth, you're going to go rookie contracts, you're going to rejuvenate the roster. And we saw what happened the last time they traded first round picks. It didn't turn out well with Trey Lance. So, trading trays for first round picks hasn't worked out for this team. I'm sure that that's going to be a concern. I don't know what, Tim Kawakami did a good job of this. You can put different parameters on this trade, and it could be something like, multiple second rounders, which might be more palatable for the 49ers, for the fan base, et cetera. Yeah, I mean, if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals and I'm looking at the 49ers who are undefeated right now, I'm thinking, if I trade this guy for a second round pick, it could be, a late second round pick, almost a third round pick. So, and I could also probably get a third round pick for him if he just goes off somewhere in free agency. That wouldn't come until 2027. So that's a factor. But I'm just saying that the difference between a comp pick for Trey Hendrickson and getting a second from a team that could be good, that could have a good record, that could be picking in the 20s or 30s, that's something that Cincinnati will argue to the 49ers in hopes of getting a better compensation.
All right, this 49er football season on the Krug Show is presented by Sleeper, the fastest growing fantasy platform in the world. It's a one-stop shop. You get blazing fast news, real-time stats, group chat, season-long leagues, and, of course, Sleeper picks for daily fantasy, where you choose 2 to 8 players, pregame or live, and pick more or less on their projections. And if you're new to it, This is how it works. You use the promo code Larry, Larry, and you're going to get $100, 100% deposit match up to $100 on your first deposit. So the link is right there in the description. Terms and conditions do apply. I'm incredibly impressed by how well D. Winters is playing. I mean, I like D. Winters, but I didn't see this. And to me, he's taken it to such a different level, and it makes me wonder, could this guy have been better than Devondre Campbell last year? But maybe that's another conversation. But there was a couple plays in this film when I watched the All 22. I thought, oh my goodness, there was so much space there. And they really were relying on D to play like deep coverage on McBride and cover the running back out of the flat. And he did a remarkable job. And I'm kind of wondering if you thought that D. Winters could be this good. I mean, and do you think that what we're seeing, Matt, is the actual D. Winters, or is he just off to a hot start? Because he looks, I mean, Robert Saleh said it. Hey, defensive football is about, closing space down, and this guy and Warner are closing a ton of space on that second level down for Saleh.
I'm absolutely surprised. I mean, I thought when they used an early third round pick on Nick Martin, that was sort of the death knell. The handwriting was on the wall for D. Winters. He didn't have a good rookie season. He was injured his second season. I thought that, okay, the 49ers have seen enough, and they're drafting somebody for that weak side spot. He's been fantastic from jump. I mean, he was the best player on the field in OTAs in the spring. He carried that over into training camp. He had a couple of really big plays early in training camp. He hasn't missed any time. And I think that is, we kind of say that every year, and that's sort of the key to guys getting off to these hot starts. And he is exhibit A for that phenomenon. That the training camp prowess has carried over right into the regular season. He's Pro Football Focus's top rated linebacker in coverage this year.
Wow.
And for all the reasons you just put out there, and also because when they do throw, a short or medium pass, he's on that receiver very quickly. I think that the average gain for an opposing offense when they're targeting D. Winters is something like 3 yards, which is like a carry that the defense has won. So they're not getting anywhere when they're throwing against him. He was in coverage on the touchdown to McBride. That was a nice pass. He was there, sort of like the Siegel touchdown in New Orleans. Sometimes you got to give the quarterback and the receiver, or in this case, the tight ends, credit. But yeah, he's been lights out. I mean, like I said, I thought he was the off-season MVP, and he's starting to play like the regular season one as well. If he wasn't playing next to a guy who was probably going to make the Hall of Fame, then you might say that.
I was talking to a buddy of mine who scouts in the league, and I'm like, man, Robert Saleh, is it all Robert Saleh? What do you think? I mean, the Niners defense, a lot of people thought was going to be a real struggle. They got a lot of youth there. There was a lot of question marks. I think we were all asking Robert Saleh going into the year, hey, do you know what to expect from your own defense? And my buddy, who's really sharp, I'll give him credit. He goes, Saleh's great. And don't get me wrong, he's going to dial up some stuff on third downs that Sorensen couldn't dream of. But he said the real difference that I see is that this 49er defense has increased its speed on all three levels. And I said, that's a pretty good takeaway. And he's like, Huff and McKell up front, he said, have given their front a ton more speed. And he even mentioned Gross Matos. He said Winters on that second level, and then Siegel and Stout on the back end. He said Siegel flies around. He plays very, very fast. Stout's very fast. So he thinks it's the speed on defense that has really made a big difference, Matt. You talk to an awful lot of people around the league and around the Niners. What do you think of that theory?
No, I think that's a great call. I mean, Siegel and Pinnock are the fastest safety duo that I've covered. I don't know how far back you can go to find a speedier duo than that. So that alone is impressive. Winters might be the third fastest guy on defense behind those two safeties, and he's a linebacker. And then Huff has just been almost superhuman sometimes in how quickly he gets off the line of scrimmage. I mean, if you kind of do that thing where you slow down the game film to see who's coming off the line first, he's a full shoulder pads past
Yeah,
the line of scrimmage when everyone is just everyone else
it's
is just
remarkable.
starting. Yeah, he's like playing at 1.5 speed while everybody else is at regular speed. So yeah, that's been impressive. We should note though that they played the Seahawks, who are implementing a new offense. They're playing the Saints, who are implementing a new offense. They're playing the Cardinals, who, um, if they're not implementing a new offense, it was new last year. They certainly haven't. They've been good to start the season, but they haven't been great. They almost lost to the Saints in week one. And they're playing a Jaguars team on Sunday that's implementing a new offense. So it may not be until the Rams game that they certainly play a potent offense, but more than that, one that knows what it's doing and knows its identity and its strengths and all that stuff. So that Thursday night game, already we would have known that it's a big one because it's a divisional game against two teams that are supposed to be at the top of the NFC West, but it's a really, really good litmus test, I think, especially for the defense.
One last one. A guy that I just didn't really think much of when they signed him. I didn't. It was Demarcus Robinson. I just didn't think much of it. I saw him with the Rams and I saw him with Kansas City, and he's been decent in the NFL. It's not like he hasn't made plays, but I'm looking at his 40 and he's it's 4.59, 4.61, and I'm like, that's not a downfield threat. But then he's got some good average yards per catch numbers. And then I saw him this summer and I'm like, wow, this guy's really good. This guy's really, really good. I thought he was maybe the Niners' best receiver consistently all summer. And then just out of nowhere, he misses the first 3 games. Not out of nowhere. I mean, the Niners knew about it. Everybody knew about it. But so he's disappeared. And it's almost like people have forgotten about him. What do you think? He's back this weekend. What did you think of him this summer? Because you've seen him with the Rams. And did you think of much of that signing when they got him? And now, what are you anticipating that they're going to get from him, starting this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a theme. I mean, I didn't think, you remarked on Mac Jones and you made note of Bryce Huff and you made note of Demarcus Robinson and Luke Farrell, but none of them were splashy, and you thought that they were more kind of depth pieces and things like that. But each of those guys has made a big impact, especially in these first 3 games. So I mean, that's it's keeping with the theme, and I agree with you about Robinson. Sort of ironically, he was the one receiver throughout the spring and throughout the summer who was healthy, who was at every practice, who was a favorite of both Mac Jones and Brock Purdy, and then doesn't play the first 3 weeks because of the suspension. But he's one of those guys like D. Winters who was on hand for everything, and probably would have started the season very strongly. And so we'll have to wait and see. He hasn't. This is his first practice since August, really. I don't know how quickly he can pick it up, but Shanahan's point and the point that I'm making is that he got a lot of snaps in May, June, July, and August. A lot of time with Purdy and Mac Jones. So that suggests at least that it won't take long for him to get going.
Yeah, no, and if you watch him this summer, he makes catches all over the field. He's on the sidelines. He's got the toe tap thing down. He can the hitches and all the short game, the crossers. Across middle of the field. I mean, he's got a full array of catches. He moves well with the ball in the air, and somehow he creates separation. and kind of is very advanced in the way he does that. So I'm looking forward to seeing Robinson do his thing. Maddie, awesome stuff. Obviously, the Athletic, you do an amazing job covering the Niners and the Athletic. If people are reading you this weekend going into the Niners Jags, I heard you whispering about D. Winters. Are we doing a Winters story breakdown, or what's the big lead into the game going to be this week?
Yeah, D. Winters, who arrived in 2023 with a bit of a pot belly. Did you ever notice that 2 years ago? He didn't have the kind of the washboard stomach like a lot of these guys have, and the other linebackers took notice of that. The story goes on to say that little pot belly is now gone, and it's probably no coincidence that he's playing lights out right now. So that's sort of what the story is about. I think that's coming this week.
Matt, awesome stuff, man. We love reading you in the Athletic. Keep doing a bang up job, and we'll see you at practice. Always appreciate your time, man.
All right, anytime, Larry. Talk to you soon.
Matt Barrows stopping by from the Athletic on the Sports Leader. All right, we got more straight ahead. Stick around. Larry Krueger with you on the Sports Leader.